Hello again, YouTube. Apologize for the state of the audio here tonight. It's going to be a little bit like you'll hear a buzz in the background, perhaps on the mic, or that'll be the computer itself, the fan. And I'm working on some cross media purposes, let's put it that way. Looks like the health is good on the stream. Tonight, while we're listening in the background, I have a cunning plan. You can't hear what I can hear. This is a radio reception feed from a local cab company. Many local cab companies. Many local cabs. I should move the mic. Give me a second before I get too far along the little path here. So there are many local cab companies. This one's called Jiffy Cab. I used to work for these guys. So I'm zooming in on the radio frequency here. You can see where it is. That's in the FM dial. I have a mouse over which makes it a little more explicit again than that. But doesn't matter. I'll close the window here a little. And I'll get the mic ready. I should have really muted it. I mean, ready. I mean to move it. Put it a little closer to action. See if I can do this without, wrecking anything. This will do nicely right here. Okay, there was a call there in the background. We're going to turn on the audio. Taking chances here. Taking chances, I admit. Don't know what the deal is on rebroadcasting what's already being broadcast over the airways. So I'm not responsible for, well, I am a little bit responsible for what content you can hear, to the degree to which I mute the audio if anything specific should come out. I mean, there are going to be a lot of addresses, mostly in a downtown location or somewhere thereabouts. There might be a few that are civic addresses. This would be people, I guess, who are deciding to go home after a party, and this is well, it's Fours Day anyway. That's all I know now. Because it's Fours Day, I won't be doing a Fours Day report this week, but I figured in between the periods of waiting for something to happen. Ooh, that's 84. I call this not getting anybody here. Not a late on. Seven's in the courtyard. Did you hear that? I got it turned up as much as I can. So I used to drive for these guys once upon a time. Fun times. I'd spent a lot of time sitting around and in the daytime, in the nighttime, waiting on the stands. So the call that you wait for is the number of the stand that you're on. The stands that I most frequented probably would have been 2, 4, 7 to some degree, 1, 3. 3 is up near the airport. 5 downtown, not so much. The courtyard, not so much, also downtown. And 8. 8 is out by the Village Mall. Probably in that order. Didn't go to the courtyard very often. They have their own way of doing it in the courtyard. A few other things you should know about Jiffy. Hey, it's they got some pretty neat rules.
12, the black shade.
Rules which seem to be made to be broken, if you ask me. But anyhow, I haven't got the list of rules in front of me anymore. Like, probably wouldn't be hard to get the
84 the Parkade at the mall.
Oh, there you go, the Parkade. Anyhow, the rules of what you can and can't do. So
22 Shamrock City.
Frustration is frequent from the guy who's talking.
5-8.
That guy. I won't say his name. This is very highly likely somebody in the radio will say his name. I'm referring to notes, things to talk about whilst we wait for something to happen on the radio. And I picked my time very, very carefully, because I knew it's getting on about, you know, let's just check the time here. Yeah, it's after 2 o'clock. We still got some prime time left in the downtown core, but in about an hour it's going to start getting real crazy. So every time the dispatcher keys the mic, you're going to hear him say Jiffy Cabs at the beginning and at the end of every transmission. This is not because he's got to do it to necessarily distinguish or identify himself on the radio, over the airways as it were. This is because he's answering the telephone at the same moment in time as he's keying the mic with his foot to talk to the guys in the car. There's a lot of calls coming in. So the last two we heard was, one was Shamrock City, that's downtown, and another one was the Black Sheep, that's also downtown. Two different ends of Water Street. Anyhow, things to talk about while we wait for something else to happen. We could actually check other radio stations. 84? 34. Wow. Courtyard waiting. One of the hotels. Says that the health is good. I'm checking the live chat here just to see if there is anybody at all wants to talk. If you have anything to add to the proceedings here this evening, do feel free to go to the live chat room and have your say. I was outside not too long ago, and I was thinking to myself, you know, there is something heartening, even when you hear about people who deny that back in the late 1950s and 60s, humans decided to go to the moon and indeed went there. There is something heartening even when you hear the deniers, because when they act out their outrage at the fact that it happened, or that it's pretended to have been happened, whatever of the two it happens to be, it's so fantastic when you think of it. It's even more unimaginable maybe than even the Titanic before or after its fame. Like, before it earned the title that it wanted, and then after it earned the title that it got for the rest of eternity, like infamy. So the reason why I say this is because indeed it doesn't matter if, when they act out their outrage for whatever reason they have outrage over it, they remind me of the fact that it is like a grand science fiction story almost to think about. To think about even only a few years ago.
Down on the boulevard there, we're at a CNIB bus stop.
4, I used to spend a lot of time on. That's over by Elizabeth Towers.
Oh, I know, yeah.
So, what was I just saying there a second ago? Talking about old moon landing deniers. It's so fantastic. It's so like a grand science fiction novel, something of a golden age gone by. To think that it only happened, 50 years ago, is insane in its way. But it's cool. It's cool to me that the moon landing deniers are acting out their own inner urges for whatever reason they feel their outrage. It causes them to act it out to such a degree that it reminds me of just how fantastic the actual thing must have been. And it's the margins that are involved in the enterprise are incredibly small. The bigger that they made the rocket for the Apollo program, the more fuel the rocket itself would need to push all the weight of the rocket plus the fuel. It's just incredible. So they throw everything away as they go, one at a time. Like, the phone calls must be piling up for Mr. Dispatcher not be picking up that key yet. Like, there you go.
5-8.
Got a job.
Stand for. Stand for. Job 37. Go ahead. I'm gonna get down the boulevard. Stand
That
for.
might be all the way down to Kitty Vitty. 2,
Job
right?
97. 198 Mary meeting.
Huh. The margins are incredibly small with the Apollo program. They had to throw away almost all the weight that they took with them until they got out of Earth orbit. And about half of the weight of the boost, well, half the weight of the system, the part of the system that went to the moon, the booster rocket, that was slammed into the moon as they made the back the first time. Each and every time. There's like shit tons of fucking... Why does it sound like they're fishing? What, do you got salmon? Calling at once, everybody? What the fuck? The booster rockets are like space junk, which was smashed intentionally onto the face of the moon. Any denier in another 100 years wants to deny it can go to the moon and find the wreckage for themselves. They'll be proven wrong. The margins were so incredibly small that they threw all caution and like maintenance of whatever they put together to the wind in order to just do it, to prove to people that the unimaginable could be accomplished.
I'm back in the good old yard, cheer.
There you go. Sitting down waiting for something to happen. Or someone to like stagger up drunkenly and say, "You free? Hey buddy." So yeah, hail Eris, and please look lightly on them, Discordia, for all of their faults, those moon landing deniers, the hoaxers. I did find myself making at least one moon denial hoax argument this week, which was fun, or this last 2 weeks. In as much to say, like, you know, if they brought a TV broadcast studio with them, sure as hell they could have faked it.
Country ribbon, the main order.
Oh, chicken factory. Country ribbon, hey. See you next Tuesday. So, I said earlier, I used to work for these guys. It's fun to listen in and not have to talk on the radio at all. I used to get teased because I would say over, roger that, things like that. No use using like cross-purposed codes in the wrong context. Following rules for someone else's like whole deal. You understand what I'm saying to you, buddy? Yeah, I got you 5x5. 5 by what? I hit you with 2x4. You ever come near my car again? I was thinking about calling, not this particular episode of the Banjocast, as it were. I was thinking about calling it Jiffy Bingo, simply because we could be here for a period of time when either something will be happening or not happening. And I'm thinking that in a little while it should be something happening. It might not be entirely like crazy, but we'll see. And if something should start happening, okay. But The deal with Jiffy Bingo is very simple. There's only a limited number of cars that could possibly be on the road at all. Nobody needs, how do we say this? Nobody needs to have a card at all, really. You only need to know how many cars are potentially out there and be willing to listen for a little while. And if you can round out, whoever can round out like the most numbers over a span of time, the thing which will randomize your card is the point at which you join the cast, so to speak. Here's 71. Nobody at Breakers, just up on Torbay. Hang on, we'll get you something else. He's close to 4, he's also close to 3. So which one is 71 going to go to if he doesn't do nothing up here soon? He'll hang on here for a while. It's a parking lot right there. Nowhere to get a drink? Not really. Not close though.
Need all the sprouts.
Ooh, downtown. That's a pickup, not necessarily because they're open. Just somewhere to stick and wait. Oh, what was I just thinking? I'm letting them talk.
Anybody 71?
71.
It's 54 topper.
Oh, you got that? Like he just waited a little while. I'm writing down another note for something I can talk about at as much or as little length as necessary. I saw a news story today, which just caused me to write it down. I also mentioned it somewhere else on YouTube today in a comment, simply because I recognized if you want something to pick on to start like educating a wider public onto the realities of what like criticizing the media means. I had a really good article. I didn't write it. I caught a really good article on my news feed today. So Google, for good or ill, does at least give me some interesting things to think about during the run of a day, many of which are fake or false, or made up to represent something which I don't think it actually represents at all. So I'm going to go over here in advance, pull up the news story. Should still be in my browser history, sure, light of goodness. Yeah, this is the deal. Wait here for a second. He's gonna let him know I couldn't hear a damn thing. Okay, maybe not. I'm gonna make this a little smaller so we can see it.
What are you saying, Jack? Country ribbon, main door down there.
Ah.
GQRX down 7.
Ooh. Close. Close to me, I mean.
Okay, because I don't ask them where they're going. I know that, everybody, I know. Oh, boy, is it 7 o'clock yet?
No. It's 5 hours from 7 o'clock by Jesus.
Sad sack Jack. Hang it up now, Mr. Dress Up. Hang it up.
Back talk on the channel. I dig, man. I dig it. Ooh, they keep going. They keep going. Here on Bloomberg.org. I guess I'll put this into the. I'll put the link straight over into the video before we get too in depth into this. Let's just pop that up in another window. Link to this news story in the description below. If I was really hip, I would, of course, be using like an archived link for that instead, but I ain't done it yet. I ain't in that level of the game yet. So, read this today, made me laugh, start to finish. Bloomberg.org, you ought to be, or Bloomberg, sorry, .com, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. WannaCry linked Bitcoin wallets have been emptied, analysts say. Why? I wonder why. I wonder why. I was looking at the value of Bitcoin the other day on Facebook. I mean, I used Google to look it up, and then I went to Facebook to report what I'd seen when I looked it up on Google, because, friends, I knew in advance if I looked at what Bitcoins were worth. If I don't even have any Bitcoin. I'm not even in the game, but I've been watching for a little while what the value of what one Bitcoin is, and it's pretty big at the moment and going to get bigger, perhaps. These Bitcoin wallets have been emptied, analysts say. 3 Bitcoin wallets with $140,000 moved to other wallets. The $140,000, I'm going to just use Google to make this calculation quickly. Let's say 140,000 USD to CAD. And so that's worth 1 point.
I don't know why you're sorry, I'm bound out to 97. Go ahead, 97. Carry 102, your job. Smokes, Boutinery, Carry next time 3. Highland Drive, SO54. Sound 1. 72 Oxon 10.
Yeah, so a rough conversion calculation. In Canadian dollars, that's about 53 Bitcoins. Just and only 53 Bitcoins. Let's assume that that's the value of those wallets, and in either case, it could only have been, at most, if at 1 Bitcoin per individual.
34.
Yes.
Where am I? It's downtown London.
I don't know, but
I think you forgot me. I think I was ahead 8 or...
you're next to go.
I guess so.
Oh, you're next to go.
Alright, thanks.
53 individuals, I would guess. If the ransom that was issued to them, if the extorted amount that they were asked to remit was 1 Bitcoin per instance of a computer that got infected and made them vulnerable through their data having been encrypted.
Go.
Encrypted in a fashion that they couldn't or weren't already in a position to be able to.
I'm back in the yard, Jared.
Okay, he's back in the yard. 53 Bitcoins if it was in Canadian dollars. I made a quick conversion up and back. I could double check this by going
Stand 1. Next down 1. And 3. Capital Hotel.
Farther up the road, buddy, don't stop. I'm surprised Carl ain't calling already. Ooh, I just shouted his name. Shit. I think it's Carl. 50 Bitcoin if I use US dollars right now. It's 50 individuals perhaps, if that's what the ransom demand was. If it was per instance of a computer that got encrypted, and the user who always had the computer always in their possession but could not get access to the data on the computer through not knowing what the key was to unencrypt it, because the computer happened to be using, say, Windows products, which is funny because you'd think they would already perhaps be encrypted in such a way that you wouldn't be able to do. No, that's not how Windows think. Anyhow, Microsoft. Funny, right? So, researchers say Bitcoin shifted to Monero cryptocurrency, another way, right? A different cryptocurrency, but the currency is going to, currency is going to currency. It's going to translate one way or the other. 3 Bitcoin wallets are linked to the WannaCry malware, which hit hundreds of thousands of networks using Microsoft Corp's operating system in 150 countries. He's talking about the hundreds of thousands, but let's remember there's only 50 Bitcoins. Were emptied earlier this morning, analysts have confirmed. In each of these cases, tokens have been divided into multiple smaller amounts and sent off to other various Bitcoin addresses. The wallets contain a total of about 52, which amount to around 140 grand, explains Reina Strambolska, independent cyber risk manager, in this email, or in an email. This morning between 3 and 3:30 a.m. GMT, the 3 wallets have been emptied and money split into further ones. In May, large-scale ransomware attacks dubbed WannaCry spread malicious software to about 300,000 computers in 150 countries, and where access to data was blocked unless ransom was paid through Bitcoin. Okay. United Kingdom's National Health Service, FedEx Corp, Nissan Motor Corp, Renault. These people were all affected in a way, but yet only $140,000 was ransomed, or extorted, I would think was a better word for it. Fallout for European companies affected in global cyber attacks has proven costly. These people all thought their security was up to the task of protecting them. They all used Microsoft, every damn one of them. They're all vulnerable. They remain vulnerable. Orla Cox, director of security response at Symantec, where there's no way, said there's no way of knowing whether it was WannaCry attackers, even law enforcement, that accessed 3 Bitcoin addresses. Whatever. I think the rest of this article speaks for itself, which is, you can forget mostly about it. You can forget about most of the rest from my point of view. I think it says actually pretty much everything to that point. It was okay. I estimated 53 Canadian. The direct conversion right now says 50, and the conversion that the story offered was 52. So that was a pretty good way of double checking the number in the story. I'll remind you to think about just how small a value of money was levied from corporations, individuals, who knows, in these particular wallets. $140,000 only in US dollars only. That's all for data which never ever physically left anyone's possession. The data was always in their possession. If it was on a laptop or in a network working in this particular area, what they thought was they were safe, and they're blaming the hackers rather than the people that gave them the false impression that they were safe. That's what they've done. So yeah, fuck you, Microsoft, is what I would think. Fuck you, Microsoft. Feels good to do that. Really do. It really does feel good to do that. So not a lot happening here now. I thought perhaps we were going to be getting into the busy times, and it got busy for a few minutes. What are we looking at? Oh, it's about 2:30. It says the stream health is still good. We haven't got anything happening in the live chat. Oh, it doesn't give me a link here either. Is he at the courtyard again?
Yeah, into and out of the courtyard.
Give us a minute there now, boys. We'll be right back, right? Got a few phone calls coming in, boys. Give me a minute there, right? This is the nighttime guy. He's not the best one. The other one's got the other one I remember. It still works there, I would imagine. He's got a very particular tone on the radio. Easy to hear him, even if he doesn't hardly speak. And he's got an accent that could cut through the fog. And no problem. I'm thinking about reporting to some degree on another news story which I posted to Facebook this week. So yeah, here it is. I posted it to Facebook first because I thought it was already kind of strange, but it's coming from Global News. I'll take the link, move it over first, just to be sure that I got it done. Here we go. I posted this particular one to Facebook, this particular link, simply because national online journalist for Global News here, Rahul, was it Kavapali? Yeah, I'm not going to watch the video at all. Researchers at Facebook recently shut down a pair of AI bots that were designed to communicate with each other in English after they instead began using a new language by rearranging English words into seemingly gibberish sentences. So just think about this again for a second. I can't even remember what the funny thing with Google News is when you do a search or even when you just do a browsing of the listing, what the original news story is the IRS link. Haha. And if they change the news headline later, or if they have a series of different headlines that are supposed to come up in different countries, perhaps you see a different headline than you saw when it was listed in the news listing. That's dirty pool, but anyhow. This first sentence or first sentence of the story is therefore likely to be most of the words used in either the original RSS headline or the headline that I'm now looking at. Facebook pulls plug on AI bots after they start inventing their own language. See? Researchers at Facebook recently shut down a pair of AI bots, artificial intelligence bots that were designed to communicate with another in English after they instead began using a new language by rearranging English words into seemingly gibberish sentences. Now, I ask you, if a new English speaker were to begin using a pigeon variety, back in the courtyard.
34, your job. Is that 34? Get 38 Drooping Crescent.
So, back into the story here. If a pair of new English speakers, but who you were used to using some other language, but didn't know one another and didn't know one another's language perhaps, but both were new English speakers and knew that both were new English speakers, they could use or develop a pidgin variety of English, wherein they use English with their own grammar sets differently, and between the two of them come to some new understanding of English and of each other through the use of English. But it's a pidgin variety of English which would not be understood by most other people. Now, why anyone would find this weird or disturbing or creepy, I fucking don't understand. That's the whole reason why I'm raising my issue here. We're just by rearranging English words into seemingly gibberish sentences. Only the sentences were completely nonsensical, but actually, jeez.
You did? Line 70, get one. Get the Tennessee Kingsbridge Road. I got a phone now. That's booked for 4 2. So.
Okay. Only the sentences weren't completely nonsensical, but actually comprised a coded language that made sense to the bots. Scientists with Facebook AI Research Fair told such and such. Here's a sample of a conversation which transpired, dubbed Bob and Alice. Bob, I, everything else. Alice, balls have 0 to me, too. Bob, I have everything else. Alice, balls have a ball to me, to me. Conversation continues carrying a similar vein according to the screenshot. See, ages will drift off, blah, blah, blah. I don't have to read too much. I'm going to just skip down here a little bit. Batcher added that bots began developing language because of a programming error, which in effect gave them incentive to develop a more efficient language. This has been considered creepy. Yeah, creepy for some reason was heavy in the wording. Now, only reason I raise issue with this particular story. Sometime later in, the last 5 days, I noticed as of
66 months down.
Ooh, he called that and gave it out right away. Get it? I don't know. Did you get it? I don't know. So I don't know for sure how I'm gonna I could pick a channel at random probably, and there's channels which I figured I was going to be watching pretty soon anyhow. For example, this gentleman here has got a whole slew of stuff, right? Some of which I might want to watch, and he's been figuring out how he can get his content monetized. Oh, this gentleman, who am I talking about? I'm talking about H.A. Goodman. He's been trying to figure out how to get his channel monetized more frequently. So there's a chance, if I click on any one of these videos here, that hey, we're going to get an ad at the very beginning of the video, and that used to bother me a little more than it does now, but one of the ads, I'd stopped using AdBlock Plus. Just a long story. It gave me more headaches than it was worth. I said, fine, I'll live without it for just a little while. Fnord. Anyhow, I got this ad in the last 5 days. This particular ad. The ad which really, really friggin' matters, because I've noticed this ad a million times, and it's one of the ads that you can...
11 Gilbert. R1. Yeah, I got one.
Yeah, we can hear it. Good for you. Yeah, I got one. I got one. I got this ad. Last 5 days. Really matters. Topic at hand. Artificial intelligence. Every time I see it, I click skip as soon as I can, because it's a 5-second wait for it. Click. Get out of the way ad. It's a video ad. It's an ad that goes to a website which sells you a software, which is artificial motherfucking intelligence. And the thing that I really find funny about it is, do you remember the joke where it goes, what do you call a blonde who dyes her hair brunette? What do you call her? It's called artificial intelligence. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. This ad is for artificial intelligence in a program. It is called Grammarly. I am not sponsored by Grammarly. I do not want Grammarly's money. I do not intend to sell their product. I do not think that their product is actually worth it. But what they are selling to people on a unit-to-unit basis and a person-to-person basis, they tell everybody that they advertise to, if you write with English, you must run it through our grammar software. You must run it through our grammar artificial intelligence to make you look smarter and sound smarter than you already were. Now, why shouldn't you learn the rules of grammar if English is going to be creepy without rules of grammar? Why should you let the software do it? Funny. Grammarly, ladies and gentlemen, is artificial intelligence. It is no different than dyeing your hair brunette or red or whatever. It's no different. He made a long video on both these topics. Very tempted to broadcast them through, but hey, there's other stuff happening here. We're playing Jiffy Bingo, man. We're playing Jiffy Bingo. Wow, the timing. 22. Go ahead, 22. I used to say all kinds of stuff on the radio. Yeah, roger that. Copy that. Where'd you find that? You gotta start working on my, not so much the Shatner impersonation, but Shatner in specific episodes of Star Trek, the original series. Shatner. Very, very specific. Shatner playing gangster. Yeah, listen to Oxnix. What the fuck?
Who else call? 12. You want to see what's that?
Woo? Dirt, buddy, dirt, what? Dirt. Dirt, look. It's fun though. You can have fun with radios. That's the whole point. The things you can say and not say.
What do you want? Couldn't handle stand 7 anymore, could you? Cheers, sir. What? Cheers. Hey.
Artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is creepy when it starts to use its own language in a pigeon variety. Why should artificial intelligence, why should a script, which is given a set of basic rules that only, if you ever worked, the thing that I posted to Facebook, and it's true, if I don't know if you've ever worked in a call center, I actually haven't, but I've talked to people countless occasions who have worked at call centers here locally, also not locally. They've worked for various companies and corporations doing, technical service and support, or bill collecting, or selling credit cards, or doing various things, right? And in each and every case, they tell me the same thing. Yes, you're giving a binder, and the binder tells you everything you're supposed to say or do, and what you do in this situation and that situation, and which way you play it. And most of the time, they don't even use their own name. They don't even use their own name. They are effectively computers themselves running a script in a binder, and they are artificially intelligent because of the binder. And they're told, and when they're trained, you don't have to be smarter than the binder. You don't have to think anything. Everything is in the binder. Just follow the bloody binder. Don't do anything else. Please don't do anything else. Just do what the binder tells you. Haha. Artificial intelligence, ladies and gentlemen. It's been with us for a long time. It's been with us for a long, long time. In that sense. And if a script is going to bother you, and if it does bother you, then do not buy Grammarly, or turn off your spell checker. Turn off your spell checker if Grammarly kills you.
102. I have a passenger.
Good for you, 102. I got one!
182.
Got one! I got one! Look at that. Sounds like everyone's getting one tonight. So yeah, what I don't know what the rules should be for Jiffy Bingo either. If it should be you put a dot onto your card for just hearing the car's name the first time, or the number, I mean, or if it should be you put a circle there for when you hear it first, but then you gotta put an X there for when you hear it get a job as well. So it needs to be both. Yeah, because it's possible, right? If you're playing Jiffy Bingo, that they go to a stand where they first announce their number even though they haven't got a job, and then they have to courteously announce the job to let the dispatch know there's no car waiting there to take up a job. It's just been called in the local area to that stand. Long story, the rules, man. The rules matter, man. It's like the random pathways which are going to be followed by those cabs after the moments that they're gathered carefully at the stands. Ooh, it's like a pinball, but with cabs, man. I should have written down something else. Probably should have written down a little more to talk about. Although the news stories are actually rather interesting. And the video, video on YouTube, it is tempting. It is compelling at times. Other people's video, I mean. Oh. So yeah, job done and back again. So there's only a limited number of cars on the road tonight. We've heard 83 go around once. Baseline. Just use her as a baseline. Name of software is over here on the screen. GQRX. I'm using like a little dongle which plugs in for the radio transmission and reception. I'm just going to pull it up here, and here is the antenna which is plugged into the USB ports of my computer, and we go from there. Calculations are done on the inside with the raw signal. This is like a, you should call this the broadband up here, and then there's a narrow band. Well, no. There's a broadband display up here. The narrowness of this band.
In the front of Bannon Park, military.
Haha. Beep. He's probably at 5 at the bottom of the hill. The narrowness of the band is shown here. It's this gray, light gray area. There we can see we're using a narrow band FM signal reception. I can change that different types as well. There could be AM or closed wave like you'd use with tapping Morse key or something through a radio transmitter. What else is there to say about this stuff? Not a whole lot. It is probably a little more interesting than YouTube in its way. And yeah, down here, the waterfall display, the one that goes down over time. So from the top of the graph is now to the bottom, maybe, you know, well, about 4 or 5 seconds ago. And then we can change the time span here as well. Although that's like it is a really radical change compared to seeing it go by moment to moment, which I actually prefer seeing the short range, short term time packets. Basically real time. This graph expressed up and down over a period of time, so you can actually get a sense for what this graph has been doing on a moment to moment basis over a longer period of time than the moment now. Because this graph is now the top one. It's pretty other. Probably should do some like scanning around the dial too while we're doing it. Seeing as I'm getting a really nice clear signal this far up the radio range, let's pop this up. Let's put on the YYT frequencies. There's one here for the tower, one here for the ground. We can see what the AR 120 would do, right? YYT tower, we're down around there. Let's what was it, 120.5. So it's now the chances of hearing anything on this channel are actually smaller, quite a bit smaller. You see the signal strength here is 50. Like that's a radio beacon of some kind, still won't be picked up by the squelch here. But in order to even know if there's something happening, I'm going to zoom in so we can't see that stuff for a second. We're only looking around a small area of the frequency range right here in that gray, the light gray zone right here. And there might not be a heck of a lot passing through the airport at this hour of the morning. In fact, I imagine that it's a grand total of 0 at this hour of the morning. I'm not going to look at the web page. We can also use the same dongle here to track air traffic overhead, which is pretty cool. Not had a whole lot of use for that either.
83 to Celtic Hurt. 41. I haven't got a job here. Person's so intoxicated, doesn't even know where to go. 83, forget it. 41 to Celtic Hurt. Celtic Hurt, Alex. Yeah, I'm just trying to get the person out of the car.
I've got a person in the car, too intoxicated to know where to go, but I want him out of the car. Ooh. Ooh, there's a weird one. Should I have muted that? I don't know. I don't know. I was on the radio, goddammit. I didn't tell him to do it.
'83-31 York.
83 to Wiseman Center. No, sorry, not 83. 83 was on the way to Celtic Hearth. Then got redirected. See, I could have probably been a dispatcher. He writes it all down too. He's got it all written down, fucking little slips of paper probably, or a big ass friggin' photocopiable sheet that gets copied 10 million times in a run of a week. Fridays must like go through 20 of the bastards. I don't know. And he brings it out, gets it done at some printing shop probably. Of course it gets quiet when I get back there. Let's look through the other radio stations, shall we? So this Jiffy there, we got Bugden's is here as well. We also have the Newfound Dispatch. Red and Yellow is there, Citywide, Northwest. I haven't heard too much on Red and Yellow ever. Don't listen much to Northwest, but I've caught their broadcast before. Bugden's. Oh, it's right next to Marine Weather there. I've never actually seen anything on that actual channel either. Shall we take a switch in?
West 2 kilometers per hour. Relative
little switch in content.
95%. Barometric pressure 102.7 kilopascals and falling. Cape Race. Temperature 13. Wind southeast.
Isn't that better?
7 kilometers per hour.
Isn't that
Relative
better?
humidity 93%. Barometric pressure 102.7 kilopascals and falling. Argentia not available. Marine forecasts for Newfoundland issued at 3 a.m. Friday, August 4th for today, tonight, and Saturday. East Coast, Cape St. Francis, and south, winds light, becoming south 10 to 15 knots, Saturday evening. Fog patches. East Coast, north of Cape St. Francis, wind southwest 10 to 15 knots, backing to southeast 15 this afternoon, and locally gusts to 25 along the coast this evening. Winds becoming southwest 10 to 15 overnight, then backing to southeast 15 Saturday afternoon. Northern Grand Banks, winds southeast 10 to 15 knots, becoming light overnight. Winds light Saturday. Fog patches. Extended marine forecasts for Newfoundland issued at 3 a.m. Friday, August 4th for Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. East
This
Coast
has just been
for
updated.
Sunday, winds south 15 knots, increasing to southeast 25 in the afternoon. For Monday, winds south 25 knots, veering to southwest 15 to 20. For Tuesday, winds southwest 15 to 20 knots. Northern Grand Banks for Sunday, winds south 10 to 15 knots, backing to southeast 15 to 20 late in the day. For Monday, winds south 20 knots. For Tuesday, winds variable 15 knots. Wave height forecasts for Newfoundland issued at 6 p.m. Thursday, August 3rd for tonight and Friday. East Coast, Northern Grand Banks, seas 1 to 2 meters. Weather conditions at 2 a.m. St. John's, temperature 10, wind west-southwest 6 knots, relative humidity 93%, barometric pressure 102.7 kilopascals.
It's about 10 kilometers an hour.
St. John's, west,
6
temperature
knots.
8, wind west-southwest 1 knot, relative humidity 95%, barometric pressure 102.7 kilopascals and falling. Cape Race,
That's close to
temperature
11.
13, wind southeast 4 knots, relative humidity 93%, barometric pressure 102.7 kilopascals and falling. Argentia not available.
Prévision pour Terre-Neuve émise.
En française, ladies and gentlemen.
3 août pour ce soir, 7
Mesdames et messieurs.
et la nuit suivante. Saint-Jean, péninsule d'Avalon, secteur nord pour ce soir et cette nuit partiellement nuageux. Devenant nuageux au
Partly
cours de la
cloudy.
nuit. Nappe de brouillard se formant au cours de la nuit. Vent du sud-est
Some
de 20
fog and
km à
rain this
l'heure,
morning.
devenant faible ce soir. Minimum 10. Pour vendredi, nuageux. 40% de probabilité de bruine tôt le matin. Devenant alternance de soleil et de
Probability of
nuages
rain
en
in the morning.
après-midi. Nappe de brouillard se dissipant le matin. Vent devenant du sud à 20 km à l'heure en après-midi. Maximum 19, l'indice ultraviolet 6 ou élevé. Pour vendredi soir et la nuit suivante, quelques nuages. Nappe de
Saturday,
brouillard se
vendredi.
formant au cours de la nuit. Vent du sud de 20 km à l'heure.
Oh no,
devenant
vendredi's
faible
Friday,
en
what am I
soirée.
saying?
Minimum 10. Péninsule d'Avalon, secteur sud-est, péninsule d'Avalon, secteur sud-ouest
Samedi.
pour ce soir et cette nuit, généralement
Dimanche.
nuageux. 60% de probabilité de bruine au cours de la nuit. Nappe de brouillard se formant après minuit. Minimum 12. Pour vendredi, généralement nuageux. 60% de probabilité de bruine tôt le matin. Dégagement tard en après-midi. Nappe de brouillard se dissipant le matin. Maximum 14, sauf 19 à l'intérieur des terres. L'indice ultraviolet 6 élevé pour vendredi soir et la nuit suivante. Nuageux. 60% de probabilité de bruine au cours de la nuit. Nappe de brouillard se formant après minuit.
Best thing about it, you can tell where to click
Prévision
to
à long terme
get that next transmission before it happens.
Le mercredi 9.
Some marine weather's right on the button there too. Might be too that Bugden's is even quieter than that signal.
14. Pour lundi, nuageux avec 60% de
I had
probabilité
it
d'averse.
up as close to 30 earlier.
22. Pour lundi soir et la nuit suivante, passage. Minimum 13. Pour mardi,
Totally right on
alternance
the break
de
there.
soleil et de nuages. Pour mardi soir, la nuage nuageux. Minimum 13. Pour mercredi, nuageux. Maximum 20. Normal pour la période. Minimum 12.
Well, that actually
maximum
improved.
21.
You can see the signal coming up and down.
Avalon Sud. Pour samedi, alternance de soleil et de nuages. Maximum 19. Pour samedi soir et
Sun and
la nuit
cloud.
suivante, nuageux. Minimum 14. Pour dimanche, nuageux. Maximum 17. Pour dimanche soir et la nuit suivante, averse. Minimum 16. Pour lundi, nuageux. Maximum 22. Pour lundi soir et la nuit suivante, passage nuageux. Minimum
So, yeah,
13. Pour mardi, alternance.
Thing that's
de
really
soleil
perhaps
et de
interesting
nuages.
you as much as interesting me here
19.
is
Pour mardi
what is this
soir
big
et
signal
la nuit
off
suivante,
off to the
passage
left over here?
nuageux. Minimum 12.
Here it is.
Mercredi, alternance de soleil et de nuages. Maximum 19. Normal pour la période.
Let's increase the size of the filter. Looks like a regular thing, but it is broadcasting two different sets of data. Let's hear it one more time. I'll turn down the squelch a little bit, or I'll turn down like the overall decibels so it's not quite so loud. And it seems to happen on an unpredictable but fairly regular basis, so I'm just going to leave it going here until the next time it occurs. And then we wait. Bump like on a cedar log. The radio's still going off there on the side. Pretty cool though how this works. I also noticed that sometimes you get a pinging pattern between two close frequencies where it'll be the same beep or blipping back and forth, which is either like sending data back and forth or it's like station keeping, two different places, like a radio location thing. Sometimes I wonder too, maybe it's like a radar signal bouncing. Why not, right? Come on, signal of loudness. Here you are.
Émis à 3h le vendredi 4 août pour dimanche. Lundi,
See, that's the same as the earlier one.
côte est. Pour dimanche, vent du sud à 15.
Short one, and then one is twice as long as that with the same tail
Pour lundi,
after both.
vent du sud à 25 nœuds, virant au sud-ouest de 15 à 20. Pour mardi, vent
That was a
du
really short
sud-ouest
one.
de 15 à 20 nœuds. Grand vent nord pour
It
dimanche,
threw up across the whole
vent du
spectrum
sud
here. Look,
de 10 à
these are
15
related to
nœuds,
it.
devenant au sud-est de 15 à 20 en fin de journée. Pour lundi, vent du sud à 20 nœuds. Pour mardi, vent variable à 15 nœuds. Prévision de la hauteur des vagues pour Terre-Neuve émise à 18h le jeudi 3 août pour ce soir, cette nuit et vendredi. Côte Est, Grand Banc Nord, mer de 1 à 2 mètres. Les conditions météorologiques à 2 heures, Saint-Jean, la température.
Let's go to a whole other radio station. We're now lurking on Newfound. This stand for a second. Wow, I had that turn up way higher than needed it. Good, 16 should be good. Doesn't look like they got a whole lot going. Going to put my money back where it belongs.
Ready at the mall.
Hmm.
And 10. And 3.
Wow.
And 1.
See?
Wigmore Court. Building 1, apartment 2.
Getting close to 30 decibels. That's pretty good. No idea where that transmitter is at all.
To the van downtown.
Find it best when it's like at high resolution. You can totally get an idea of how the data goes together.
The van downtown.
Here to here. And what we're listening to, of course, is inside the...
58, this is a Toyota 34. This is a big car in the back. Yeah, 27 King Edward Place there, 34. It's bigger than 58, so...
So, if you ever wondered why St. John's, Newfoundland has no Uber, safe bet. It's because there's a high number of cars owned and operated by companies like this one. Maybe I shouldn't be talking while they're... It's my goddamn YouTube. Ooh. Mr. Helpful. Mr. Concerned. Sorry. Oh, I got one. We've been like streaming for over an hour. Waiting, nothing happening. So, what was I saying anyhow? Jiffy. Oh right, this is the reason why we don't have Uber. It's quite a lot of business lapped up by the number that everybody knows. And the concern for specific businesses within geographic region is so tightly controlled that even something like Uber can be prevented indefinitely. However, awareness of the radio frequencies themselves, I don't think that can be prevented indefinitely. Or for that matter, how to listen to them or how to get access to it. You don't even need to use a radio anymore, where the radio is tiny little thing exactly the size of, say, that, or more to the point, exactly the size of one of these things, which has a plug on it that goes into your USB drive, like a camera might, or a microphone might, or your telephone might. Surprisingly too, that telephones don't have FM transmitter receivers inside, or both. Transceiver. They send to the Wi-Fi network, so wouldn't they already do that? Oh, quiet. It is actually only coming up on the real witching hour here now. I'm going to give you the benefit of quiet for just long enough for me to go and take a short break. Reset a little. So I'm thinking about how I can put up a... This is not going to work for a purpose. This definitely won't work. Shoot. I was going to write a note on there. You know, maybe it will work. There's the real charmer in the morning, I bet. Why wouldn't he be, right? Yeah, this is really not that engaging, but I love it. Doesn't need to be overthunked. I really dig this. Now, gotta make this work. I'm gonna leave this going, which is really taking a chance. Totally taking a chance. Oh, I wish I could stick that there. How to make that work? Oh, it's like friggin' right there. Oh, it was so close. I thought I had it. I thought I had it solved. I was patting myself on the back before I had to. This might actually work. No. I need to belay it that way. Alright, one more time. Ooh. I can't see this working in the links. Yeah. Trying to actually get it to the right
Next
height.
down 185 for her to be has. Next down 7. 184 all top. Next down 7. 37 267 Pennywall. Next down 2. 261 freshwater. Next down 3. 4 Jess all planes. Stand 4. Ready on 4. Stand 3. Air 102, Bannerman Park, they're military. Did you get a jab? Bannerman Park, they're around military. Everybody else down around the boulevard. 22. Well. On 7.
Calling out for 3.
Oh my. Do we have
5-4's ahead of me.
He'll laugh. He knows as well as I what the state of affairs is. You know better.
Stand 3, like. Didn't mean to wake you up. Get Regency Towers on the boulevard. Next down 1. Building 6, apartment 2, Wigmore, who called?
A3.
D3.
I'm in the corner.
42.
Yeah, I'm awake now. What's that number on record?
185.
Just having a chat with a cook in the galley there. I'm back. Moving my face doesn't have to disappear. Hang on though. Let's like switch this over. Ooh, spooky. Ooh. You can see right through me. Ooh. Those useful things, chopsticks.
Retreat or eject.
Give it up, Patty. That's it. Give it up.
Sectarian violence is at a minimum.
You know how happy I am when I get done this cab, Eddie.
How can we get all of a sudden the light?
Oh man. Never a dull moment, see, just never a dull moment. Just always funny. At the best of times. Here's the frustration level go up on one side.
83, get moo-moos.
Moo-moos. Well, this hour. Where are you gonna get a moo-moo this hour? Is the mall still open? I ain't gonna guess the stores where you get a moo-moo. It's tempting though. Moo-moos is a location, a storefront. It's not an article of clothing at all. Although
Someone. Ramada, poor old Patty.
BRB. So the cook gave me a little back talk there, but I managed to convince him to release a little of what was in store there. Just a little.
Yeah, next time one.
Oh. Nobody on one.
Next time one.
Alright, Avalon
Next
Mall.
time 8.
Village Mall.
33 Bayverse.
I'm grubbing. Thank you, Galley. All quiet here now.
Next time 2. Let me know you're passing stand 1.
The university now. 2's near the university. Top part of Elizabeth, 4 is at the bottom part. Two and 4 form the base of a triangle, which the top point is number 3. Roughly the same distance between all 3 of those. Between any 2 of the 3. Kind of lets you know how long it takes to go between them as well. So, but from 2 to 1, not very long. So we should be hearing from that car again momentarily, within a minute, maybe 2. You got a couple of lights to get through. Amazing, the phone ain't ringing off the hook. Might wonder why I think this is, because the weekend begins on Thursdays for most of the squares around me. At 1?
Number 4, Gregory Street.
Sorry, but what's Gregory off?
Off of
Emma
Lady
Jane.
Smith should be had.
Lady Smith, sorry. I'm sorry, my data plan is run over this month. Here it is, the 4th. Thursday. Nothing doing here on the radio. Sitting here in front of a picture of home. So yes, presumably I can use this to listen to boats out at sea, or maybe at least over the horizon.
Carry you jab pulses out, so where'd you go?
What?
No look at holes, dear.
No look at Tols's.
I dropped off in the area and had a quick look, and that was it for me there.
The meat market. Land out of time lounge. Funny. Lots of dinosaurs. I had absolute hoot the other night, thinking of things that I could rebroadcast through YouTube, and I'm starting to get wiser, I guess, to what I'm going to get away with in terms of copyright content strikes or the like. I don't monetize those, so that's the first good thing. Generally, that means I don't have to worry about any copyright strike. But it's possible still that I'll have some video or another removed based on things that I've played through without even thinking about it. Found this guy the other night.
22 will get 14 Catherine. What's call? What's call, boss?
Nobody. Why does he think somebody called him?
Somebody else downtown.
Ooh.
But in the courtyard. 32. Walls.
Off the pits. Pitts Memorial.
Trying to cabin place, turning up.
Wow. Anybody else out there?
102, 16 Kings Road for quarter 2.
Scheduled in advance. That's another 10 minutes. Not right away. 10 minutes time. Presumably going to take a few minutes to drive there. Well, it all goes quiet. I'm going to flip over here for a second. Things to replay. Mystery Science Theater.
Move it, shortstop. Move it. Don't push. I'm fine. Says employees must wash hands before returning to invasion.
A mummified elf Landon.
Good morning.
32, Doppler first class.
Welcome.
That was a quick one.
Who are you? Come, Professor. Permit me to introduce myself. They call me Phantom of Crane Corps. But you seem startled, Professor. Sit down, relax.
Oh.
Z7, suck it in.
Is this a dream? Where am I?
Is this the real?
Of course I want to know where I am.
Aboard my flagship. Halfway
Yay, Tom.
between your world and Crane Corps.
How did you bring me here?
For a man of your intelligence, a full explanation would be necessary.
Up and down Ladysmith. Can't find a Gregory anywhere.
Can I find Georgina Street off Ladysmith?
Gregory.
Is that Ladysmith?
Gregory, I thought you said.
He said Gregory.
I thought you said Gregory.
No, Georgina.
Yeah,
Friends, we have proof, which he said. We have
Pretty sure
proof,
it said Georgina, but anyway.
which he said.
4 Georgina Street it is.
Sir. Roger that, Captain.
Who's getting the coffees?
But we have no time for that, Professor.
What about my chauffeur?
Come now, my dear Professor. What a silly question. Do you expect me to keep track of your worthless service?
44.
We blasted him out of an airlock, so by now he may have fallen into a star.
103.5 Forest Road, Dizzy.
103.5.
Nuttier than a Stucky's law.
Well, I suppose that you expect me to help you with your evil plans.
Hey, would you mind? Thanks.
That is precisely why I gave orders to take you aboard. I will show you much here that only you can appreciate.
For example, how I propose to control the universe. And when you have seen all this, you will realize how futile it is for you or anyone else to oppose me.
Fine, just go light on the probes.
Making no progress at all.
It's incredible how accurate this is at depicting space.
Some people call me Space Cowboy.
Do-ba-do-do-do-do-do.
Hey, Chief, we got that flying saucer on the televisor. He's coming up fast astern. What? What? Under guard.
Device laughs the hardest at the Phantom. What? Yeah, see? Yeah.
It's him all
Saying it is me will have no effect on me.
This is
Then I won. Then on two.
Van and over.
Then around the ball. Then on 7.
No van to be found.
Then on 8.
Van in the west.
Right. Then around the ball.
Anyone in the van's now thinking this?
Van, Silver. 18. Wow.
Thought that was a cop for a second.
18. Let me know you turn on the Great Eastern 18.
Oh, bit of a run.
83. Oh, yeah. Get to the 18.
It's a flying rotary nose hair clipper.
I've got him right where I want him.
Somewhere in space.
So, Prince of Space here is actually quite a lot like a Batman clone or ripoff.
Don't look at my
And this guy quite a bit like the Penguin.
Just want to test some batteries.
So maybe it was the other way around. Batman was a ripoff of this.
Aha, and they stay crunchy in milk.
Haha. Pew 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 pew.
He's in the Wienermobile.
You lost control.
Most pewest of all the pew laser sounds ever. Pew pew pew.
Enough. Right there. He's finished.
Get
The fool thought he could follow us.
Got a job.
Shower of meteorites.
Terrible.
I have to tell Fang about that. Ha!
They're landing on Captain Picard's head.
Oh, it's a planet where sea monkeys come from.
Whoa! Look at that!
Tom is on fire for most of
Like
this.
subconscious.
Pretty
Oh,
accurate, I gotta admit.
It's a DQ planet.
Dressed to the right stuff.
Chief, 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 Chief.
Shall I put Mackin with the others? Of course not. Bring him to the Great Hall. Right, sir. And prepare to return to Earth. Right, sir.
Didn't we just get back from Earth, sir?
Sir, do we have a plan or? So, crack corn all around then, gentlemen?
I have a special job. Yes, sir. I want you to find that Prince of Space. Prince of Space?
It's not
You
8.
heard me right.
On 8.
what a volage. Come on. Come on.
44, they're moving in Water Bridge.
Shasta to somebody you knew was down there.
He may have possibly escaped
Get that
destruction.
44. Then out west. Then out west. Who's on the van? So 18's up there. Where you got 102 on the way to the airport? Where you at 42?
Just left the airport and turning on to Allendale.
Any other vans on the road? 42, let me know here. I don't know. Crossed out Monday van.
Pass through that meteorite shower.
Prince of Space, sir?
I must have positive proof that he is finished.
Prince of Space, sir.
He may make some foolish
Prince
attempt
of Space,
to
sir.
our prisoners and disrupt my plans for the Earth.
Sir, I'm going to ask you if I should bring this to the lab. Don't.
Last we saw of his ship, it was falling away toward Earth. He may possibly have been able to return to his base.
Prince of Space?
I don't know.
Of course, he must have a base somewhere.
I don't
All
know.
right. He must have one there, and I want you to find it.
Oh, I'll find it all right. I can promise you that.
You'd better take the X-radar with you to help you find him. Isha will give you the formula for his wavelength.
Yeah.
You.
Bite me.
Accompany him.
Bite me.
Install the X-radar
Hear
on
that?
the ground cars
That's the
of
first.
the Earthling. Will give you the formula for his wavelength. You.
Bite me.
Accompany him. Install the X-radar in one of the ground cars of the Earthlings and comb the city for him. He is bound to be disguised, of course, perhaps.
22 Novelist, do we have?
If you're wondering how I knew the change there, I didn't. I just took a guess.
As a civilian. But if it's
Jiffy
properly
cabs
set
at the
up,
end.
Radar will find him easily. And when you find him, report to me. And if
We're 17 Beery Port 97.
So, you've been catching what the etiquette is here. He makes a call out for who's available on such and such a stand. The response is your car number, and then he gives an address or whatever plus the car number again to verify it goes to the car who he called and understood. If two people or more try to key at the same moment in time, however, you get a whole other experience.
above all, keep track of him. I prefer to deal personally with him. And if you don't find him, don't bother to come back.
Right, sir. We're going to obey your orders.
Dismissed.
First, we have to go to the bathroom.
Okay.
Is waiting for you in the Great Hall.
Always 2:45 here at Crankor's place.
Good.
Cranker.
You, bring in the others and put them up on the stage.
Yes, sir.
I'm ashamed of my talk show.
Great hall designed by the Lego Corporation.
44,
Oh, we don't have a... It could turn out as we expect.
Oh.
I'm back in there for you if you're ready.
Right, so we could all just move down.
Battery cafe.
The first few rows.
At ease, men.
I mean, man.
Professor Mackin, I want to bid you welcome to the planet of Frankfurt and my home. You must have seen a lot from the window of my flagship, the castle cut from the living rock, my giant guardian, and so forth.
What not and what happened?
But I have many more wonders to show you. Sure. And I have even brought some friends of yours to share this experience with you.
Can I get more coffee over here, please?
Bookend Mr. Mooney's.
All my rowdy friends.
Dr. Fletcher,
Oh, Mackin.
I'm scared.
are you all right?
Oh, Professor.
I forgot to water your plants.
Lucille!
Lucille.
Yes, and this is Professor Coy.
Lucille.
Oh, I'm so sorry about this, Dr. Cummings.
And here is Professor Gorietz from the Soviet Institute.
Lucille.
Mrs. Carmichael.
Don't mind, gentlemen. We have much to discuss.
Oh.
Please sit down.
Please. No, really, please. Sit down.
So they're alien except for their Chippendale furniture.
Sorry I'm late. Cat threw up this morning. Hi.
Very good.
You sit well.
114, Great Eastern. 24, Waterman Lake South.
24 what?
Bottles of beer on the wall.
Waterford Heights South. To be had. 7.
Typical.
And 2. Sound 1. Empire Stamp. 53.
Coming down there by the Capitol, Jerry.
Who else? That's what he asked.
13, wishing well, Petty.
Done.
The one I need seems to be here. I appreciate your coming, gentlemen. I am honored to find myself in the company of 5.
Huh.
79, Gloucester.
That's a little out of the way. Starting now to get a little bit of buffering issues. Wonder.
Of the most advanced minds of Earth. Please make yourselves comfortable.
Until they arrive.
While I explain my plans.
Dropped a bunch of frames is what it was.
Plans in which you gentlemen play a very important part.
I have to leave early.
83, 67, KDVD
Be silent.
Of Rancor. I assure you that the word impossible is a word which for me does not exist.
Although I just said it.
Now, first of all, Professor Mason, I've arranged an interesting show for you. I trust that you will find it quite instructive. Go ahead.
808 power on the side. Sure, 5-8 should be a job in the courtyard for room 923 for 4 o'clock. Anyway, boss, 5 and 6 is open then.
So yeah, that was enough Prince of Space. You, bite me. Each and every one of you, bite me. Of course, this is not hopping here now. 5 minutes more. 5 minutes more and we're out of here. So, yes, very interesting overall set of concepts to go through this little Forest Day report.
34. 37.
Okay, one after the other. Interesting bunch of concepts, I say, that tie the beginning, the middle, and the end of this experience, this 2-hour stream together. If you're interested in hearing more of the same, or some more of the things I think, I frequently think aloud here on YouTube, and more frequently lately because I've figured out how to, consistently stream something. So I plan to do more of it. If you would like to hear more, subscribe below. Please leave a comment, or feel free to comment in the chat room or whatever if you see that I'm coming up for another stream. And I don't really care about the up thumb, down thumb thing. It's cool, it's helpful. It presumes that I get a lot more traffic than I get before it becomes really useful. So I need to get to the 100 sub mark. Arbitrary time for the bingo in tonight's going to be 4 o'clock. Well, we're down within like 4 minutes of the time. Just going to double check what the stream's saying on this. So yeah, it's back to good health, of course. Got one little bump.
83.
83.
Didn't get that job, John. I didn't get that job.
We're at the Bagel Cafe. Battery Cafe, I'm sorry. We got nobody.
Oh, yeah, she's there, but she's puking. She's not getting in my car.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Don't want to clean it up.
Well, I want to have breakfast there.
Battery Cafe. Surely it was the battery.
Stand for
43.
28 Carpathian.
Next time 4 that was, so yeah, it's right next to Carpathian. Right in the corner from. Literally right there. Yeah, I've been thinking to myself, I wonder what the automated system is going to make of this content. If it's smart enough to figure out what it's listening to. If it's going to be a matter of days or weeks, and all of a sudden I'll get a notification.
83, 208 Empire.
Take it down, although it's long after the fact. This is all broadcast over regular radio, though. I ain't transmitting. I'm only listening. So what's the deal, I wonder? Well, there's one way to find out. I actually am aware when I had the 5-minute break there that I was taking quite a chance in terms of what might have gotten broadcast over the radio, but I was taking a safe gamble that the likelihood of a particularly compromising set of data points would have the likelihood of those occurring, lots and lots of information that nobody wants to hear on the radio, is really low right now. If it was in the middle of the day, maybe. Middle of the day or rush hour at lunch or at supper, maybe. Way more likely. We are within 60 seconds of the time that I'm going to be calling this quits, so we got one more call. One more ball. Come on, Jiffy Bingo. For the inaugural evening of Jiffy Bingo, I might add. I do plan to do this again. Probably have a few more things to put on. I don't know if you ever saw Codco. If you've never heard of Codco, you might want to do a search here on YouTube for Codco. Yeah, this does bring us to the end of the stream. Thank you very much for watching. My name is James PFP. Subscribe below.